Oh, crap. I didn't mean to go that quickly. Yo, hey, hi. DPS podcast. Damage per second podcast. Episode 259. I hit the wrong button too quickly. But we're here now, so I guess that doesn't matter. Hey, hello everyone. I am one of your hosts, SloMoBackSlap, and the other host here, Gaming Forte. Say what's up, Forte. Hey. You know what? We're gonna act like that didn't happen. Go ahead, say that again.
Nope, they heard it the first time.
No, they didn't actually. They didn't hear you first time because OBS. OBS.
No, don't blame it on OBS.
No. There was OBS. OBS. You know, okay. Look, but OBS.
Man,
you know, his little inside baseball. His little inside baseball. Every now and then, OBS will change your audio source to default.
Yeah.
And instead of like the actual source that you're using.
But slow-mo, when that used to happen to me, because I used to say the same thing, you say, well, Forte, you're supposed to check that before the show goes live.
And you are absolutely correct. But you know what? This doesn't happen every week to me. Okay, it does. This doesn't happen every week.
It's happened. It's happened a couple of times over the last couple of weeks, though.
It has. I don't know what's going on. You know,
like you batting 1,000 right now over the last 2-3 weeks.
Look, man, look. Okay, yeah, look. I just need a little grace, y'all. Just a little grace. It's been a very trying week. We're still under ice out here in the DMV. I was telling Forte all of my trials and tribulations with sick family members needing surgery, emergency surgery, and all kinds of stuff. So it's been pretty wild. Okay, so just bear with me. It won't be like that our first episode of the year where everything was just wrong and it was just nothing worked, the entire night. It's not gonna be like that. Okay? We're gonna speak it into existence. It's gonna be a great show. We're gonna have a great time, even though there's barely anything to talk about. But still, we will have topics to discuss in great detail. With great, well thought out opinions, because that's what we do around here. Right, Forte? Now, he is unmuted. I don't hear him. So, y'all don't say, hey, you muted Forte again. I have muted him.
You did mute me, actually.
You liar. Why are you lying to people, man?
You did.
Why are you lying to people? You muted yourself, is what you did.
No, I didn't. Anyway. Why would I mute myself? You would have seen myself muted. You can see it in Discord.
Matter of fact, you know what? Since we're being messy, let's talk about your lies.
That I was at work? I can't help that.
So you already know what I'm about to talk about.
Yeah, because I was at work. I purposely sent that
picture could have been from any time.
No. I did it right. No, I did it right.
I
did it right then and there. Face. You know what? Matter of fact,
they don't even know what we're talking about. So this is what happened, y'all. This is what happened.
No. Before Forte, you say it, no. Before you say it, hold on.
They need to understand what we're talking about. I'm trying to explain it. What do you mean? No. You don't want me. You don't.
Hold on.
You don't.
Hold on.
Hold on. What?
No. Hold on.
What are you doing?
They may not even answer. You might be lucky.
What are you talking about? Are you calling someone? Look, let me explain to y'all what happened. So Thursday night.
Automated voice.
Here we go.
Oh, they didn't answer. Okay, go ahead. Don't call me back.
Okay. Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
Forte was doing his typical. Oh, I don't know if I'm getting on the game. Oh, I'm so tired.
Oh, yeah, I was. Dude, I get the sleep.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, so then he's like, you know what? Because I haven't played Call of Duty with you since it first came out. I'm gonna play the game
Tomorrow.
with you tomorrow. I said, all right, pick the time. He said 7 p.m.
I sure did.
I said, all right, I'm gonna hit you at 7 p.m. Did I hear from Forte all day last Friday? No. Did he say, hey, look, man, some things change? Nope. Hey, work's crazy right now. I ain't gonna make it. Nope. None of that stuff. None of it. And so what ended up happening? I hit him up at 7 p.m. He's at work.
Sure was.
Send me a picture that of unknown time frame with him and some co-workers, waving, they're taking a selfie. And I'm just like,
actually, iPhone does a really good job of timestamps. When you go to the settings and you look at the actual info on a picture, and you can see exactly when I took that picture. Actually, I'm looking at that picture right now.
I'm running a podcast right now, so I'm not going to go check that.
No.
But what I will check is the fact that you said, I got you when I get home. And when you got home, did you get me? Nope.
Matter of fact, hold on. Yeah, I'm just going to text this to you, and I want you to be honest with the people when I text it to you.
Have I been honest so far? Have I told a lie so far? Have I told a lie so far?
You on fire right now, but you on fire. But you have a text message coming your way, sir. It should show up in your. It says it's delivered.
So this is this footage that you see here. This footage is of last Friday, where Forte could have been with me, getting just straight styling on dudes like that. But no, he's not. So it is what it is. Let's see here. What does this say? This says Friday, January 23rd, 2026, 7:20.
7:20.
Fine. Okay, so he was at work. But did he tell me that he was going to be at work? No. He said nothing all day long.
I can't defend that.
And left me to fend for myself against all these.
If I go look at your stats, you probably had like positive KD games the whole time.
Well, I did.
I know you did.
But that's not the point.
You said you can't be saying left me out here stranded to have to defend by myself like you wasn't out here capable of laying wasted carnage to these bums out here.
But I was by myself.
That's good. That means you're a one-man army. You Rambo.
I'm not Rambo. I'm not a one-man army.
You are a one-man army.
On steroids. That's I can't be Rambo.
Oh, you a universal soldier. That's what you are, universal soldier.
I'm also not a terrible actor, so I'm not. I'm not
are we trying to say that Dolph Lundgren's a terrible actor?
Dolph Lundgren? You said Universal Soldier. That's Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, but Dolph Lundgren's in that movie too, isn't he?
Yeah, but he ain't the main character.
No, he's not the main character. Well, see, you said. Well, I would just say because you said John. We all know Jean-Claude Van Damme can't. He can't. Every time I watch Bloodsport, I laugh when he goes, "Yeah, yeah."
Yeah, he's terrible.
Every time he does like those, like they do that whole slow down and he's moving around because he can't see because he's blind. And I was like, why is this so much overacting happening right now?
Ooh, Taz051 said, FYI, you can easily adjust the timestamp of a picture, SloMo.
No, you can't. No, you can't.
He says you can.
Let me see. Can you? There's no way you can, is it? See, first of all, Taz up here hating. There's definitely no way you can adjust. You can add a location. Oh shit, you can adjust it. No, it shows the original time and it shows the adjusted time. So yeah, no, you can. Yeah, you're right. You can adjust it. Matter of fact, we all about receipts here, because I don't need SloMo trying to say Forte did anything. Here's the picture again. Because Taz is correct.
What,
you
what,
can.
why are you look?
No,
I'm
no,
looking at
no.
the picture. I don't see an adjusted time. So why are you sending me another picture?
No, because I want you to see the thing that Taz is talking about where you can adjust the time. It shows you can actually adjust the time on the picture, but it shows what you would have adjusted it to, and it shows the original time. So the original time and the adjusted time are the exact same time.
Okay.
So no,
Okay.
just, but listen, I
anything.
learned, but listen, my mom was ashing Luca. I know how to make sure I have receipts and cover myself. You should already know this, SloMo. Still late.
Anyway, so
who was late?
So
whatever. Calm down.
Yeah, you're late. As a matter of fact, you never showed up. How about that? So you clearly didn't play Call of Duty over the past week. What have you been playing, sir?
Actually, 0.
You've played nothing.
Nothing this week. Nothing since last week. Is that hard to believe?
Not at all.
I haven't turned. I ain't turned my Switch on all week. I've been watching TV and organizing car. I've been going. You know the show Fallen Skies that came on like in the 2000s.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I never finished watching it. I stopped watching it in season 2, and it hit Netflix, I think like couple weeks ago. And I was just like on Netflix looking. I was like, you know what? I never finished watching this. So I started watching it from the beginning. And then I just kept going. And I am on season 5, the last season, episode 3. I've done that all in the last less than a week. So when I haven't been working, I've been watching that. Literally, that's what I've been doing. I will say I have
been snowed in this entire time.
Oh,
and, you could have made up for not showing up on Friday. For over this past week, instead of watching this old TV show that fell off after the 3rd season, you could have actually been playing the game with me.
Well,
but you know what?
Listen. I didn't play any games though. Nothing. I didn't even turn I didn't even turn my Switch on. I love my Switch.
Or something?
No, I didn't say it was an excuse. I just didn't turn my. Listen, sometimes you have to unplug from gaming.
Let me apologize. Let me apologize to the audience.
Wait. Forte has
0 contribution to actually playing games. 0 contribution whatsoever this week. It's okay. I got you guys.
Just because I didn't play a game this week.
Yes.
What the heck does that have to do with contribution?
Because it's a game and podcast.
Just because, dude, all these topics, we could talk about every last one of these topics, and I got points on all of them.
Oh no, no.
Oh, I'm not playing. I'm not playing HighGuard. I am not playing HighGuard. I'm not playing that.
See, this is what I'm talking about. You just refuse to play things.
I'm not playing HighGuard.
I got a contribution to the topic.
No, how? Not HighGuard. I was not going to play it. I knew I wasn't going to play it. I didn't even attempt to install it.
I'm looking at the topics list right now.
Mm-hmm.
You would have 0 opinion of actual, firsthand opinions on these games.
Which games?
No, we'll get to it. You'll see.
I'm looking at the list. I'm looking at Xbox content, gaming revenue.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm so sick and tired of people. I didn't even make that a topic. I'm so sick and tired of people bringing up Microsoft revenue. I'm just so
happy. I'm so happy that you are in line with me on that.
It is yet another quarter where Xbox hardware is down in the pits And now even this quarter, they down on the revenue. And apparently, Sellout Satya, that's his name. The CEO. Sellout Satya. And if you know what I'm talking about, all I gotta do is put in Satya Nadella, Microsoft, and BitLocker, and you'll know why he's a sellout. So anyway, Sellout Satya blame the gaming division for them not hitting stuff. That's all you need to know. It's another day that ends in Y. Xbox gaming is still disappointing.
So did you really not make this a topic?
No, I didn't.
Oh, good for you. I'm proud of you. But I guess the one thing I will say about Sellout Satya is, I'm like, why are we so hurt, bro? Satya ain't doing none of this. This is all stuff that's been happening for years. It's not just, I can't. You know what? Move on. It ain't got nothing to do with Satya, in my opinion, honestly. It got nothing to do with him. This has been a systemic problem with Xbox.
Well, I think it has a lot to do with him because, he's the one that is a lot of the things that people are upset about. Mm-hmm. The Xbox has been doing for over the past 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. It's because it's what Satya wanted.
Well, guess what? But also
the push for AI. I mean, everyone's pushing for AI.
Pushing for AI.
Who's doing the worst in AI? Microsoft. But with the stupid Copilot. I don't even call it Copilot. I call it Dead Pilot. It's Dead Pilot. It's a dead pilot. It sucks.
It sucks. But let's come to Satya's defense here a little bit.
Barely worked. No, it's not them. Come to his defense.
Let's come
bald-headed bastard.
No, let's come to let's come to the. I'm not saying we have to. I'm just saying, we got to have two sides of a coin here, though. That man greenlit everything that Microsoft wanted him to greenlit. I mean, Xbox wanted him to greenlight since 2015, bro. We in 2025, 2026 now.
He ain't greenlight them exclusives staying exclusive.
Dude, he greenlit all that stuff through 2021. Dog, that's 5 years.
He ain't greenlight keeping.
That's 5 years.
Like Phil Spencer being able to keep his word about Bethesda.
No. Listen, Microsoft should have Xbox should have did a better job in managing their studios and managing their content delivery, so they wouldn't have to have the AD hood coming in and looking underneath the hood.
Are you reading this response from Dead Pilot?
No.
Did Dead Pilot tell you to say that response?
No, I'm just saying in general. Why I don't need to read that. It's common sense. It's like. I am just as upset.
This was not supposed to be a topic. No. And now it's a topic. Why are we talking about this?
No, listen, because I am just as upset as everybody else that Microsoft did not give them a chance to really realize the fruits of the labor of building the studios that they built by purchasing them, because they didn't build them. But purchasing these studios, allowing them to release games underneath the Microsoft banner only on Xbox and PC. I think that was a bad
Forte is trying to torture me. I want to play games with the brother. He don't play games with me. I say I don't want to talk about this topic. He goes on a long rant about the topic. It's just
because it's like asinine that people out here just want to blame one person when it's not just one person's fault.
I don't think it's just one person's fault.
Well, but that's
his big old Eminem milk dud head behind take a lot of blame in this as the CEO.
So when he lit all these torches and allowed this stuff to get
it all starts at the head, his big old milk dud head. That's where it starts at.
Okay, yeah, he was the one that greenlit them to spend $80 billion on Activision and $7 billion and $7 billion on Bethesda.
And how's that working out?
What do you mean how it's working out? So they shouldn't have done that? Is that what you're saying? They shouldn't have done it? Are you saying slow-mo? If that, so are we using hindsight here to say that Microsoft should not have purchased Activision and Microsoft should not have purchased Bethesda? Is that what we're saying?
If you ain't going to actually make the best out of it, maybe you shouldn't have just wasted everybody's time.
Well, no. What year did they purchase Bethesda?
I'm not talking about this no more. How about that?
No. Just answer that last question. Then we can move on. We can move on. When did they purchase them?
If I answer the question, are you really going to move on?
Yeah, I swear to God, I'm gonna have my response and then we're gonna move on. But when did they purchase them?
No. I don't want your response because I don't care.
I won't even give you the response. Just when did they purchase them? When did Bethesda be purchased?
Go ahead and use Dead Pilot and ask Dead Pilot to tell you when. No. Yes, you do. You asking me. Apparently you need AI to help you. Go ahead and ask Dead Pilot when they purchase them, and hopefully Dead Pilot gives you the correct answer for once. Okay, we're gonna move on. So look, like I was saying. Shout out to Flood in the chat.
We can move on, sir. We can move on.
Yes. Shout out to Flood in the chat who said AMD powers Copilot. That's why it's so good. Some people would say, well, AMD powering may be the reason why it's the worst AI out there. So I don't know. I did play HighGuard. I have some impressions on that. We'll talk about it later. Been playing more Call of Duty by myself, because there was no Forte, and I also played some Fortnite with some of my friends and their kids and my kids and everything. So that was pretty dope, getting all the kids together and playing Fortnite. We had fun. Mm-hmm. What else? I played this censored version of Dispatch that's on the Switch too. Mm-hmm. That's the topic, so I will get more into that later. But that's a pretty interesting topic. I feel like we may be seeing a shift with Nintendo that people aren't going to like. And this may be the beginning of some really interesting choices from Nintendo, probably specifically Nintendo of America, but we'll get into that. I did have feedback, and I forgot to do this. I forgot to talk about this, but a few weeks ago, I said I was getting two controllers. One was the Gillakit TT Max, and the other one was the FlyDigi Vader 5 Pro. You have a controller?
Yes, I bought a new controller. Yep.
What did you get?
I bought that Metal Gear Solid one, the one that we were talking about.
Oh, the one that. Oh, okay. So the okay. Good.
It was $59 clearance out for 70% off.
Ooh, you see, so do you have another one? Because I know we talked about.
I can see if we can find another one. I can find a store that probably has another one, but.
Because I just want to test it out. I just want to see what this polling rate is, its latency, its error rate on the thumbsticks, that kind of stuff. I really just want to test. I got too many controllers as is right now. I don't even know what to do.
Controllers as it is, you say?
Yeah, but okay. So before you talk about that Metal Gear GameStop, I think that controller is interesting because it's actually made by GameStop. That's what I found so fascinating about it. I wanted to see if. Cool. Real quick, the Gillakit TT Max was shown at CES last year, and so it was supposed to come out last year, but they delayed it multiple times. I don't know what's going on with Gillakit. They're like GameSir, except they're not as efficient. But their controllers are typically pretty good. The one I got from the TT Max, which is the best controller they have right now, it when it's wired on PC, you're gonna get a 1,000 hertz polling rate, about 2.5 milliseconds on the latency. It's not bad. It's actually pretty good, honestly. And after doing some calibrations, I got 0 dead zone with the thumbsticks, so it's pretty good. And on the back of it, like it's got, you know how like everyone loves the paddles of the Xbox Elite controller, the 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually add in kind of the same way you can on the Xbox controller. Like you can just, they got magnets to connect in like paddles and buttons, whichever ones you want to put back there. So I think that's pretty cool. It is my current main controller for my Switch 2. And I put it on my Switch 2 because it's not as good as this other controller I'm about to talk about, or the GameSurge G7 Pro. It's not as good as those controllers, but it is a very good controller. And unlike almost every other controller that's supposed to work on Switch and specifically Switch 2, this controller actually does wake up the Switch 2. Every other controller out there that's not the Switch Pro controller, for some reason, they say, "Oh yeah, we did that. We put out a firmware update. We put out a patch to have it wake up the Switch 2." It doesn't. There's always some weird mess up reason, like with the what is it? Oh, the 8-bit Do Ultimate 2 controller. It won't wake it up, and to even get it to connect to the Switch 2, I gotta hold the power button and the Y button at the same time. There's always some janky nonsense going on with these controllers with the wake up. The GuilaKit TT Max does it like that very easily, no issues. And it may be, and this is the biggest selling point to it, I would say, it may be the best Bluetooth controller I have ever used. Most controllers on Bluetooth are awful latency, awful polling rates. All that stuff is like below subpar average. This controller on Bluetooth is getting like 700 polling. It's got like, I mean, it's not as good on the latency with the dongle and wired when it comes to like the sticks, but on Bluetooth, it's like, it's really low. It's like below 10 milliseconds. It's freaking excellent. And so because you pretty much play for the most part any controller on Switch in Bluetooth, and it does have a switch mode, which is, I put that on, that's fine. But like, that's basically the way to use that controller. So if you want a great controller for the Switch, this GuilaKit TT Max absolutely blows away the Switch Pro controller. The Switch Pro controller 2 blows both of them away. It's got TMR thumbsticks, like everyone wants that. It's pretty fantastic. The other one is the FlyDigi Vader 5 Pro, and that a lot of people have that one like neck and neck with the GameSurge G7 Pro as like the best controller out there. That's another one that also has it has 2 buttons like that are like built in on the back, but then it also has 2 slots below those buttons to put in 2 paddles that you can, they come with it, and you can put those in there if you want them. So I got the paddles in this one. It comes with its own docking, like the TT Max GuilaKit did not come with a charging, like a charging station or charging dock. This one does. The dock is pretty cool. It's got all this like RGB lights and everything. It can tell you how far it's going and charging and whatnot. It's pretty awesome. That's it. The thumbsticks ain't that great. They're not that great. They're not terrible, but they're not that great. And I had a hell of a time trying to get the calibration right. Like there's something like I find real dodgy about FlyDigi software. Like I used to just not mess with them, period, when I think it was the Apex 4 came out, and then all the FlyDigi's controllers was getting banned from like esports tournaments because the software was having some very Zen and Cronus Zen like features going on. So right. Like I wasn't even going to buy another FlyDigi until they got their software side straightened out, because I'll be damned if I end up getting banned from playing a game because of the stupid controller. So they fixed all that stuff, and that's fine. But the thumbsticks were just really like weird. It took me a couple of hours to get it to stop like really kind of like messing up, and then I had to do a couple of firmware updates to fix some things. But all in all, now that and I would say if you are someone who don't want to do any of that stuff, you don't want to do any I mean, of course, everyone's got to do firmware updates, but you don't want to do any calibrating. You don't even want to like, you don't care to actually like make sure to tune it just right. Cause I've got it tuned now where I can get a 0 dead zone.
Mm-hmm.
This ain't the controller for you. If you don't want to do any of the technical stuff, this is not for you. You want just to straight out the box. It's got 0 dead zone. It's fantastic. Go get yourself a GameSurge G7 Pro. Go ahead and do that. Or if you're a PlayStation guy, I haven't done this yet, but this I would say is the best method. I'm going to eventually do this. Go get a DualSense Edge, and then take out the modules, the thumbstick modules, and go get these Battle Beaver TMR, like specially designed for the DualSense TMR thumbsticks. They're like $60 each, so it's gonna cost you $120. But all in all, like every pro controller for PlayStation is over $200 anyway. So if you're gonna spend that much money as is, might as well go ahead and then like at the most spend $320 on the controller and the TMR thumbsticks and get yourself the very best controller you can possibly get on PlayStation. And that's better than AIM Labs. That would be better than going to AIM Labs and get a custom one made with AIM Labs, because you're gonna end up getting like AIM Labs to do all that same stuff is going to charge you more than $320. So anyway, yeah, that's it. Yeah, FlyDigi Vader 5 Pro, pretty damn good. The only thing I will say after calibration is better than it is the G7 GameSurge G7 5 Pro. That's the best one. Still the best controller in my opinion out there. Nice. So Forte GameStop controller, the Metal Gear one. What have you used it?
Yeah, I used it a little bit.
What did you play?
Battlefield.
Okay.
Yeah, I used it on Battlefield. It seems very, very responsive. And
then you're still using the Elite 2.0, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I love my Elite Point 2.0. Love it. It's great.
Yeah, you were supposed to be getting a game, sir, but that's fine. No, you don't have to. If you want to stick with that, that's fine. This GameStop controller compared to the Elite 2.0, which one do you say is better?
I feel like it's more responsive than the Elite controller, which is crazy.
That's not crazy though. The Elite controller is outdated as hell.
It is outdated. They need to come out with a version 3. It's like I'm at a certain point. I'm like, where the heck is the version 3 at?
Let me when I say outdated, a regular DualSense controller has half as much latency.
I know.
And double the polling rate of an Elite 2.0 controller. That thing, you need to just stop. You need to just put it up on the shelf somewhere and just look at it. Don't never use it.
It'd be happy that it didn't get stick drift.
Yeah. It'd be shocked if it doesn't. That's just some test they can tell. People don't realize stick drift could be a very slight thing. People don't notice it until like they just be like, oh man, like I put my controller down to eat some Doritos and now I'm staring at the ceiling. But like it
take a lot to get your controller to be to that point too.
Yeah, but that's when most people realize they have stick drift. But stick drift will hit you like your controller. Most people's controller has stick drift right now. They don't even realize it. But like because it's so slight and like it to notice that it's drifting would take them basically not like touching the controller for like 5 minutes or more, that they don't really notice it. But and some people may say, well, what's the big deal if it takes that long for it to start drifting? But it does show in your aim curve in your actual aiming, which is why you got to go into the settings of each of the games you play in and then up the dead zone, the inner dead zone, because you got stick drift like crazy. Instead of just get a controller that ain't gonna get stick drift and you'll be fine. I don't know, but people just
said I don't know. That's crazy.
I'm not saying you need to go buy something else. I'm just saying that.
Yes, it sounds like you're saying.
Anyway, back to what I was saying. Back to this GameStop controller. So you said it's more responsive than the Elite, which is like basically that's good. That's good.
It's definitely more responsive. I like the honestly
do you
the
have back
only
buttons?
thing. Yes, it does. It only has two.
How many? Okay, two. Okay,
just
that's
two.
not bad.
And they're like perfectly anchored, like right
real
behind
quick.
the shoulder. Yeah.
Everyone does this differently. Like, how many back buttons do you actually use?
Consistent. Well, if you give me 4, I'll use 4. But I scale, like, it took me a while to go to 4. I'm more comfortable with 2. Like, without thinking about it, 2 is the one. Because even up until about a year ago with my Elite controller, I was only using 2 of the paddles. I wasn't using all 4. I didn't start using all 4 until someone told me something at work. It was like, he just made a point. He was like, he said you're only using a half of the controller. And I was like, yeah, but I said, you know what? Let me try using the extra 4. But the thing is, for me, I don't feel like the games I play really require me to have to use 4. Like, I can, there's reasons I know, like, there is a reason I know, like, I can use, if I used all 4, I can reload with one of them. I use jump and slide mostly with my back buttons. That's what I use mostly for it. But you can reload with it. You can use it like an action button for the other one. But it just seems like reloading for me, it's like more of a tactile thing. So it's like, I want to feel like I'm disengaging myself when I'm reloading. Because I feel like the whole purpose of having the triggers on the back are to consistently have you ready to go in whatever situation you're in. I feel like it kind of hampers you in a shooter because it gives you that I'm ready to go. But I also feel like when you reload your gun, you shouldn't be out in the open. You should be taking a pause, taking a breath, and stepping back from whatever you're in. And I think it goes against that.
Yeah, for me, it's always about movement. I use the back buttons for movement. So like sliding, jumping, that kind of stuff, dodge rolling.
Dodge rolling. Yep, yeah, Destiny. I used it for the hunter roll in Destiny. Like in Destiny, I used it for any of the traversal moves. Like warlocks could like skate in the air, not skate in there. They can float. The Titans can skate on the ground. Hunters did the dodge roll. I always had that stuff linked to one of the triggers because it was always a double tap. It was like if you just did a regular jump, it would just jump. But if you double tapped it real quick, it would do the dodge, which you know.
Yeah, it is for me. The way I use back buttons, especially in shooters, is if I'm going to like, I never want to, especially in engagements, because like movement is most important when you're like fighting someone, in a gunfight. And I never want to have to take my thumb, like my fingers off of shooting and aiming and moving and looking. To do a movement. So instead, put it on the back. I map them to the back, and then now I can always keep, sliding, moving, jumping, whatever I need to do, dodge rolling while I'm basically still aiming and activating myself to look in the same direction as the enemies I'm fighting. So that's just, for me, that's just super important.
I agree with that. Absolutely.
So that's good. That's cool. I'm gonna eventually grab one so I can test it out, see how well it is. But that's cool. That's cool. You ready to get into these topics, man?
I am definitely ready, sir.
You ready to get into these topics that you
Shut up, SloMo.
For these games, This one's going to be a little different because this really isn't about gaming. This is actually about one of my favorite authors, Brandon Sanderson. I've talked about him before on the show.
Yes, you have.
He's actually a good friend, maybe a great associate friend. I don't know. I think he's a friend of our good friend Ramon Terrell. They definitely know of each other fairly well, and so Brandon Sanderson, that is he's celebrating this week, okay? Because Brandon finally got some backstory to him. He's probably one of the biggest fantasy authors in the world, and a lot of people who are into fantasy books, fiction books, may know of him as being the person that finished the Wheel of Time series after Robert Jordan passed away. That might, if you're like Rand Althor, shout out to Rand, you don't, at the time you didn't care much for Sanderson because his style of writing is a bit different than Robert Jordan's. But since then, Rand has really enjoyed his work because when it's his work. It's kind of like, just a real quick, remember when the Justice League came out and Zack Snyder, directed it, and then like Zack Snyder got kicked from the DCEU, and then they brought in Josh Whedon to do some reshoots, finish up the movie and get it out there, and then it's just like it was a horrible Justice League movie because the big issue was that like both Snyder and Whedon's style of directing are very different. And style of like what they're looking for and what they expect from like the tone of a superhero movie is very different. And so it was not a good match. That's kind of how Brandon Sanderson was trying to pick things up for Robert Jordan. It just wasn't a good match. Their writing styles are very different. Anyway, that's not important. What's important is that he made a deal. I can't remember who he made a deal with, but like he did not like the way they were trying to portray one of his IP, and they were in a stalemate with whoever this was, this other studio or whatever, and he's just now getting his rights back. So he got his rights back. He went to Hollywood, and now that since he lost his rights to now he got his rights back, his profile has elevated, tremendously. Like he's basically the biggest fantasy writer that's out there in the world. And he had literally everybody bending over backwards for him. Netflix, WB, Apple, Amazon, all of them were just like, what do you want? What do you want? And he played it right. He made it a bidding war and Apple won. And now this man has got an unprecedented amount of control over everything that he comes out with, that Apple comes out with. He's got a huge deal, and we all know how Apple does Apple TV. They don't care about, like, they're going to spend what's necessary. They ain't gonna be Paramount out here. They're going to spend what's necessary in order to make sure that they achieve the vision that was created. And so, long story short, the very first of his IP that's going to be produced by Apple is Mistborn, which was 3 books. Sorry that was 3 books. It's like a bigger series now, but like that's going to get a theatrical release. So those are going to be movies, which I thought would be perfect. I think Mistborn, the way it's written, is perfect for a movie, and it's probably going to do really, really well. And then the other one, which is probably my favorite series of all time when it comes to fantasy, the Stormlight Archives, that's going to get a TV series, which is also perfect for it because it's way too much information to go into a movie. It's just impossible. Might be too much information for a TV show, but he is going to be writing on it. He's going to be producing it. And he will be consulting with final approval on all content. So congrats to him, because not even George R.R. Martin with Game of Thrones and J.K. Rowling with Harry Potter were able to get deals like that. So Forte, what are your thoughts about all this?
Well, I used to tell you that Brandon Sanderson was overrated. No, I never really told you that. I've come
Mhm.
around. I've come around to the majestic style of that man. You know what
I
movie
think you'll
did it
be a
slow
big
mo?
fan of his. What movie?
What do you think?
But I mean, like, he hasn't had any movies out.
I mean,
I
not
mean, he's
movie.
worked on screenplays, but he hasn't like done
Yeah,
anything like.
yeah. I mean, you know what? Yeah, what book did it? I didn't mean to say movie book. I'm thinking of movies. I'm sorry.
I don't know. Tell me.
Will of Time. Actually, my wife has it,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
my wife had
The
has
TV
the book.
show. The TV
Yeah.
show on Prime. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And my wife has the books and everything too. She's always had the books. And we try to that's like one of our things that we do before when we try to like watch an adaptation that goes to screen. We try to read
Mhm.
the books first. And she
Okay.
said, so she
It's a lot
wanted
of
me
books
to
to read.
yeah, it was
That's like
definitely a lot.
15.
Yeah, it's a lot of books, but you could go through
I
them pretty
still haven't
quick.
read them books. I still haven't read those books. Like I've read maybe like the first quarter of the first book and got
Yeah.
distracted with other stuff, and then just never went back. I got it. I literally have the entire series on digital, and I just haven't done it yet. My bad. Go
Oh,
ahead.
you
Continue.
you be letting Copilot read it to you?
No, because if I allowed that to happen, it probably would get the chapters wrong or something. And you just get the books wrong in wrong order. Stupid dead pilot. Anyway, continue, sir. You've been reading Wheel of Time. You've been watching the show. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, but I agree. Mistborn is interesting. Because I never the Stormlight Archives. I never really got into it just yet,
Those
and
are hard to get into. I
yeah,
will admit that even though it's my favorite series,
that's what I hear.
yeah, Sanderson is great at world building. He's probably a master at world building and magical systems, like creating magical systems that have a structure and logic that makes sense and is easy to understand, but yet unique and not like something that you've seen someone else do almost to a T. So he's very, very good at those two things in particular. But the way, so like for example, the first book in the Stormlight Archives is The Way of Kings.
Yep.
It's like 1,000 pages.
Yeah, it's
So it's
ridiculous.
like it's like 1,000 pages. In the first maybe 150, 200 pages, ain't nothing really happening, man. It's a lot of introducing you to characters, introducing you to different like cultures and regions of the world, and there's a lot of like things that like he's showing you that you're not going to understand until maybe like a second or third book or something like that. And so it's just you really have to stick it out until things start to really pop off and you're like, oh my god, like wow, this is getting great, and then it just continues to get better from there. Like it's like a roller coaster that doesn't end. Like it just keeps getting better.
I
And
will.
so but you got to get through those first 150 pages to get to that point,
I
which a lot
will.
of people are not like down for.
Yeah. I will say. And I'll take this to a phenomenon, a show that's doing really well right now that kind of caught a lot of people by storm. And I don't know if you watched it. It's called Heated Rivalry. That's on everything, I
I
think.
think I heard
Heard
of
of it?
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's something. It's about hockey. It's about two hockey players and you know some stuff we're not going to talk about on this show. But my
Yeah.
wife likes story. She's like one of those romantic story building type people that likes to read those type of books and everything. Oh, my daughter Peyton is 14 and she watched it too. Yes, you did. But the one thing I will say is the thing I like about them, inking this deal with Apple Music or Apple TV is that show, Heated Rivalry, I didn't even realize this. How many books is it, Peyton? How many? There's 6 books for that. My wife knew nothing about this. She loves books. She watched this show and literally went out and bought all 6 books.
That's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing I would do. Like, that's how I got into Game of Thrones. I actually watched the first season.
That's how I got into Game of Thrones and bought all the books.
Yeah, I watched the first season, loved it, and then read all the books. And then and then
you realize
this is going to sound hilarious at this point, right?
Missing from the
I read the books thinking that the next book was going to be out before I finished the books, and I ended up like reading the entire all 5 of the A Song of Ice and Fires with Game of Thrones series is called. I read all 5 books before the second season came out, thinking, "Oh man, I'm super caught up. I can't wait." And there's been no new anything since then. Thanks, George.
Anything. Yep. Yeah, but but that's the thing that I like about it, because it, as much as people like to read, and I do think a lot of people like to read, a lot of people like to know what they're reading and what it's about before they really get into it. And we all know once something catches on like wildfire, like that show Heated Rivalry caught on like really big for a lot of people. They were talking about it on news, CNN, everything, just how popular it was. And then it got people watching it. And then like my wife finally watched it because it was such a lot of, I say, why are you? Because this is the funny thing. My youngest daughter knew about this show before all of us. Knew about it, talked about it, was super into it. And then mom was saying she knew about it, but she wasn't interested. But then all of a sudden, everybody started talking about it. She said, let me go watch the show. Then, no lie, how many seasons is it? 2? No, 1 season. It's the first season. She watched the first season and was like, oh my God, this is really good. And then she went back and watched it again for a second time. And then next thing I know, she
really like it.
Yeah, then she went and watched it. Because you know how you start going down the rabbit hole of like going on different fan sites and like people talking about it on Facebook groups and stuff. And they were talking about this and that. And she said, oh, I must have missed that. So she went back and watched it again. It's like, man, I got to watch this whole thing again. So then she watched it for a 3rd time. And then next thing I know, Peyton comes up to me. She was like, Dad, guess what? I was like, what? She said, Mom bought all 6 of the books. And I was like, what? She said, yes, all 6. And so this is the thing. And my wife is an avid reader. Like, you know, Kindle white, she reads on a white paper, Kindle white paper. She has books on her phone. She has physical books. And she's always one of those, that's like her downtime. She reads and reads and reads for the most part. And that show got her to buy it. So I think especially somebody like me, I'm super into the fantasy universe, the Kashmir type of environments and stuff like that. I think it's something that, like, if I wasn't interested in it and then I see it, it makes me want to go read it. That's how Dune was. Like, I didn't care about going to see Dune, and like I told you, I fell asleep.
Dune's not an easy read either. Dune, the first 100 pages of Dune is like. There's a lot of people that be like, man, that's just it's too much information.
It's like the first hour of Dune, the movie, the first one. I fell asleep because they're doing so much world building and all of this, and they're talking about the different factions and the world and everything going on about the spice and stuff like that. And I'm sitting there like, this is boring. But then guess what? You get to the end of it. Because remember, it took me a while. I fell asleep for the first couple of times I watched it. And then you kept saying, you need to watch it. You need to watch it. You need to watch it. So I said, I watched it. And I sat down one day, watched the whole thing from beginning to end. I knew I was going to be bored at the beginning. But man, that last 45 minutes to an hour, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then it got me super excited for the second movie. And then the second movie was like, guess what? All of that character building, all that world building, we're going to still do that, but we don't have to do as much of it as we did in the first one. And we just going to hit you upside the head right out the gate. And it is by far one of the best sci-fi movies, the just adventures I've ever seen in my life. I was like, this is awesome. And guess what that made me do, SloMo? Buy all 3 books.
I gotta check this out. I gotta check out. It's called Heated Rivalry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll check it out because you know what I finished yesterday.
I just warn you, very, very explicit, very, very. So don't do it with your kids.
Okay.
And yes, I did say my daughter, and I did say my daughter watched this at 14. I did not know about this. By the time I knew she watched it, she had already watched the whole thing, and I was like, wow. And she's up here dancing in front of me right now.
Yeah, which is, when I get to the dispatch topic, you're gonna be like, wow, and looking at her yet again, because this is the daughter that will play dispatch, right?
Yeah, she don't want to beat dispatch. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we got a lot to discuss. Okay, what I was about to say was I finished Wonder Man.
Okay, you finished Wonder Man.
I'll talk about it when we get near the end of the show, because like I don't want to get we talk about just TV shows and movies all night, and I got some critiques on that thing. Like, I wanted to love it. I really did, because I liked the main actor, but good grief, this show. Anyway. Cool. Brandon Sanderson, congratulations to you, sir. I can't wait for Mistborn to come out and a lot of the world be kind of introduced to his fiction, because this stuff is really, really dope. Are you ready for the next one?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
So HighGuard came out. You know, that game that was the one more thing at the Video Game Awards that everyone was like, what is this? This looks like generic slop. And everyone hated on it before playing it. And then it came out, and Jeff Keighley, 2 days before it came out, Jeff Keighley was all bragging about, oh, I can't wait to see what you guys got to say after this drop. All that smack y'all was talking. Y'all gonna be eating your words now. And a lot of people still was like, no, Jeff, I don't like it. It sucks. And you suck too. That kind of thing. I would say this, right? I don't think it sucks, but it's not exactly great either. And real quick, it launched last Sunday or Saturday, which is an odd time. Wait, no, was it Monday? I can't remember. I can't remember when it launched, but it launched in between today and the last episode. It peaked it was last Saturday. It peaked at 9 on Steam. This is just Steam, so it's not indicative of the entire number of people who have played it. But it peaked at 97,000 concurrent users on its first day, which is way more than Concord ever got. So at least they can say they beat one of the worst games ever released. Cool. Not necessarily the worst game in quality, but you know what I mean, as far as whatever, people know what I mean. Anyway. So, but by the end of the day, it went from 97,000 users to just 17,000. And I don't think it's recovered since then, because when I checked it earlier today, it was like at 11,000. And that was this 24-hour peak on Steam. Again, not indicative of how it's being received on consoles or other PC storefronts, but on Steam, they ain't really rocking with it like that. So that's it. My opinions on it. I think the gunplay is pretty good. It's very reminiscent of Apex Legends as far as this gunplay. I think it's got some interesting ideas, but I don't know if this game's going to survive long term, and I think it's partially due to map design, level design. One, your 3v3 modes. Mode, because it's just one. It's 3 different maps, I think. 3 or 4 different maps. I've only really played 3 or 4 matches, so I don't have a ton of experience in it quite yet. But there's only one mode, and it's essentially like these raids. So you'll have 3 players on one side, 3 players on the other side. They'll both have their castles, and you'll like do some kind of like home defense stuff on your castle, and then you'll ride out to get what they call a shield breaker, and you and the other team will be fighting over the shield breaker, and then whoever gets it gets to use the shield breaker on the other person's castle, and then the other team's got to defend. It goes back and forth. Each match I played was like 30 minutes long, so these aren't like short sessions, you know. But I think the maps are too big for just 3 players per team. And to that point, they very quickly, I got to commend them for this, came out with a limited time playlist for 5v5, which I think they're probably just testing that out to see if that works better. But I think that's good. I haven't played it yet, and I haven't had time today, but I would like to. The game's okay. It's just like a lot. I feel like a lot of the systems don't quite work right. The characters are all right. They're not like terrible or anything, but they are somewhat generic as well. So it's like you're not choosing a character because, oh, this character design looks dope. You're more like, all right, what does this character do? Like, what's their utilities? How do they really work? You know, in the framework of like the gameplay and the team and team synergy, and this, like, you're really just choosing the character because it's what that character can do in that moment. I've been using, for the most part, there's this black girl who's got Hawk that can do a lot of like scouting. So she's a scout basically, and she can scan and see where enemies are. That's typically who I'm using right now. It's like I said, it's an okay game. It's just not. I don't think it was worthy of like the spot that it had in that additional attention that they kind of brought to itself. But it's a catch-22 because this is the kind of game I would say, if it never was in the Video Game Awards and Jeff Keighley never hyped it up, no one would know about this game. This game would like not do anything. It would show up and then like no one would be talking about it. No one would be playing it.
It would disappear.
Yeah.
Just like it would have never seen the light of day.
But probably would have saw the light of day. It got a spotlight. Yeah, I mean, it would have been out there, but there's plenty of shooters like this game. Well, not exactly like this game. This game's pretty unique, but there are plenty of unique shooters that come out that no one ever talks about. And there's one, I think it was called, was it Shatterline? There was like, I think it was a game. I think it was only on PC. It was called Shatterline. It was mostly an arena shooter, but it had some other elements to it that were pretty good. It had some really great gunplay. Really good gunplay. And it died because nobody was really playing it. No one really, like, it had a moment in the sun for a millisecond and then it was out. It was that quick. And I hope that's not the case with HighGuard, because I feel like, you know, here are devs that are former Respawn devs, and I think the game's got some potential. I want to play it a little bit more, but it's still also not like the most fun game. Like for me, the parts I hate is like having to, so they got this system where in Forte, the most part of like how it works here is it has a inventory system that's similar to Apex, where you need to get like better armor or gear on, and better weapons, but you can level your weapons up, so to speak, with like talking to vendors. And then you have these crystals that you're breaking that are all over the world that you take, that's your currency. And then you take that to the vendor and then you use that to upgrade. So you'll start out with like white weapons. And then by the time you're getting into the later stages of this long 30-minute match, you're going to end up with purples and golds, or at least you should if you don't want to get capped. So I think that's like fine, but like farming the crystals is kind of annoying to me. I would have rather had I get currency or points or whatever off of killing other enemies. And so the incentive to go fight other players isn't just because I gotta get the shield breaker because I need to use the shield breaker on the other team's base. The incentive to kill other players, find other players and kill them is to be able to upgrade, my gear pretty easily. And also is almost they kind of make it so like you don't even need to do that because you could just be just on your horse galloping across the world and there are chests everywhere. It's like someone just like the hand of God just dropped down, sprinkled just chests all over the map. And those chests end up like being everywhere. And then in later stages, you'll just open stuff and see gold weapons. It's just like, so why did I need to do all this upgrading? If I could just find a gold weapon and I'm set. You may care more about like a particular weapon if you want to upgrade that, sure, but you don't really need to. So I think some of that kind of like makes the gameplay not as engaging. Like when you get into gunfights, it's fine. But then it's just like everything else getting into those gunfights is not like the best. So I love to play it with more people though. Like you have to play it with other players. You can't go in solo, of course, but I haven't played it with other people yet, so I can't really speak on like team chemistry things and how well when you're speaking to other players, how well that works out. Because when I was in every match I've played, nobody's talking. Ain't nobody, no one's speaking, no one's saying, hey, let's grab the shield breaker. Hey, let's teleport to their base. None of that stuff. It's just, So, what are your thoughts on the game, Forte? You haven't played it yet, of course.
Nope, haven't played it. And ever since, this is the thing with the game. And the reason I just looked at a couple of people's videos and some little gameplay of people playing it. But that game was set up for me the moment that Jeff Keighley said that it's incredible. You're going to want to see this and it's going to be a great game. And I was like, oh Lord, we're selling something. Here we go. And then we saw it and I was like, what was he talking about? What was he talking about? I was like, okay, yeah, I hope you enjoyed yourself playing that game, but it looked generic to me. This is the thing. It has some things going on, but it has an amalgamation of a bunch of things going on. It's pulling from so many different places. It's like 8 games in one. And I just don't feel like it and I can't, like I said, I can't speak to the playing of it itself, but looking at it, it just doesn't seem like it does any of the things it's trying to do like better than where it got it from. Like I feel go ahead.
Let me say it like this. I had more fun with Concord than this game.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Look, when I played Concord, maybe the first or second match, I was like, yeah, I'm hooked on this. I'm gonna play this until they shut it off. Now, coming off a Rogue Company, I thought it would have a year or two before they shut it down, or a few months or something. I didn't think it was going to be 2 weeks, but that was my idea. And until they shut Concord down, I had fun with it. My first match in HighGuard, I almost uninstalled it because I was just like, dude, no, just absolutely not. I was not having fun. I didn't know what I was doing, but it was like very much like super early days the first day. Like no one knew what they were doing. But like and that also kind of goes to I don't think the dev made a very good case of what to do and when to do it. I thought the little tutorial phase you do was okay. It shows you some basic stuff, but it didn't really, to me, it didn't seem like it was showing me how to really like do these matches. Yeah, I just Yeah, I typically want to give a game more than one match though before I pass judgment on it. And like I said, I've only done like maybe like 3 or 4 matches total anyway. So I don't want to judge it. And I'm not, going against anyone who feels like it's amazing or it's awful. It's just, for me, it's just kind of meh right now. And I would like it to be more than meh, because I would love to have more games to play. But yeah, it's just right now I'm not too super enthused for it. And Arcade in the chat was like, SloMo, you're gonna play the 5v5 mode? Yeah, I'm gonna play that. Because like one of my very early impressions about it was that these maps are too big for 3v3. And so I want to see what it plays like 5v5. Maybe, with more players, this could, add more strategy, kind of make things more engaging, really kind of spice up some of these fights at these bases that get into, like, I think that's literally the best part of the game to me, is when you're doing the raid on someone's base. And you're trying to break down their fortifications, you're trying to destroy their base. You're trying to figure things out, or you're trying to defend your base from an enemy. Those parts are the best parts of the game, in my opinion. And if you got more people in the match, I just kind of wonder how much better it makes those instances. But I don't know, man. I kind of feel like this game isn't long for this world.
Isn't long for this world.
I kind of feel like it's not, even though the devs seem to be like, we're going to support this game until until Jesus comes back. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
guess what? What's the name of the studio? BioWare said they was going to support Anthem until they weren't supporting it no more.
Right. When your investors pull the plug, that's when you're not supporting it anymore. Random dev or random director on the game doesn't know when the plug is going to get pulled.
Right.
And this game, I think, might have, like I said, I don't know how well it's doing on other platforms. It could be doing amazing on PlayStation or Xbox, right? It could have like quadruple the number of people on there than it is on Steam, and that just might be enough. We don't know what is a sustainable number for them when the number of devs you got working in the game, your expenses. But I am somewhat concerned about their monetization policy. So this isn't a pay up front kind of game. This is a free to play game, and seems to be the way the monetization works is you're supposed to be buying like different skins. They got like maybe like 4 different skins per character. They're not like, oh man, I gotta have that. Like, they're not amazing. And so I don't, I think there's probably a battle pass. I gotta double check. I don't think this is making a lot of money. And so, and that's where the devs could have like all the faith in the world. They could think like, people just don't understand the design that we came up with. Maybe we got to do a bit better in onboarding people. Maybe we got to explain it better, but we have a gem here and we would really, really believe in it. And more power to them if that's the case. But if you ain't making no money, you may come to work one day and find out that your game shut down and you don't have a job anymore. And I hope that's not the case. I'm not, trying to speak like, oh, well, you're going to lose your job, buddy. But that's kind of the reality of the industry, So
true.
I don't know. Yeah, hey, Forte, maybe it's free, man. I mean, maybe you and I get together.
What?
No, maybe a little bit. Maybe before a game night.
SloMo. Listen, I admire you wanting to play garbage.
Wow.
I admire your. I won't say it's not garbage, but it just doesn't appeal. It's like I every time I look at it, I'm like, it looks like a bunch of stuff thrown together and it doesn't do any of those things better than the thing it came from. To me, I feel like okay, put it like this. I have very much become a gamer that I feel like, why are we playing this game over another game? Like it has to me, I feel like a game has to prove that it's worth your time.
Also, and because just real quick, my bad. Just because I
Yeah,
saw this, I don't know about on console, but on PC, the controller. So, like my very first time booting it up, the controller wasn't working. So, I had to do the tutorial just mouse and keyboard, which is all right, fine. But people who are playing on mouse and keyboard were complaining about the mouse and keyboard gunplay. I was complaining about some of the controller gunplay because it seemed as if I had to do a lot of like tweaking and twerking with the settings for like sensitivity, for like horizontal and vertical look and aim and shoot and all that stuff, because it was just very inconsistent. You know, there were times where like I could like lock onto an enemy player and I could track them fairly well, and then these other times just felt like aim assist completely borked. And I don't have a problem playing without aim assist, but when you're playing with aim assist and then it disappears, it kind of throws you off, you know? So it's just like there were some inconsistencies that I know they said they made it push the patch to kind of fix that. I haven't played it since they said that, but just real quick wanted to talk, just like, because it wasn't a flawless launch as far as its performance. And I think there was also, shout out to Daniel Owen, who does good work on YouTube. He had kind of showed that like the graphical settings were not accurate whatsoever about like what resolution you're playing in. So it's just, there's a lot of little things they need to get fixed in this one, in addition to some of the game design issues that people have an issue with. But my bad. Go ahead, man. Forte?
I'm here.
Yeah, I said go ahead. Finish up. I
thought you were saying something. No. I just, like I said, it's really nothing more to say about it. It's just time. Time is a thing, and I feel like with just looking, it's like, okay, so I would rather, and you know I can't, and I really don't want to play out Arc Raiders, and I'd rather play that. At least that's a game I could kind of jive with, to the point where I see what the vision is. I see what they're trying to accomplish. It's just that I don't want to fall back into that trap of, you know, really, really liking it, and then next thing I know, that's the only thing I'm playing. So I still haven't played that game just because of that. But I'm not like, HighGuard is not it doesn't look like a bad game. It just does, like I said, just doesn't, to me, it just seems like it doesn't do anything special. But I also am very biased to the fact that this man Jeff Keighley went up there and tried to tell us it's the best thing he's ever seen, and it was everything but that. And I'm like,
yeah, he's denied having any kind of financial stake in this game. I still gotta call shenanigans on that. I'm sorry, just like the amount of glaze he put on this game, I feel like, and I mean, just completely out of nowhere. No one, like, this game was not shown anywhere before the VGAs, which was like the second week of December, and then it releases in January. Like, what? Like, nah, man, like something is not right with here. He's got to be a secret investor or something like that for him to have pushed it the way he did. But it is what it is, man.
Yeah. That's kind of how
else
I
you want to say on this? Anything else you want to say on this?
Nope.
That's it?
That's it.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
So, Ubisoft just can't stay out of the news, man. It is Ubisoft has been going through it over the past month, it seems now. The France's Video Game Workers Union has called for an employee strike at Ubisoft, at their Ubisoft Paris office, and any other Ubisoft offices that they have in France and in the country. Their home base is in the country, so it is what it is, right?
Right.
This comes off the heels of their major restructuring that we covered last week, and also coming off the heels of all the talk about, they were really hyping up the next Division 3 and Division 2 content, and Division 1 getting a console update only for the franchise director Julian Garrity to leave the company very shortly after that. I wonder if all this drama is part of that. So if you're not aware, Ubisoft has put forth an initiative for voluntary reduction. And you may wonder what this voluntary reduction means. It means you choose to quit. It means you take a payout to leave. And that usually what comes after a voluntary reduction is a involuntary reduction, which is a layoff. And so layoffs are coming. After all the layoffs they've done already, they've done layoffs at every Ubisoft studio already, which is like 30 of them. And so they're trying to do more after this restructuring. And it seems like, I don't know what's going on internally, but it seems like these Ubisoft developers have had enough. To the point where one of their Ubisoft buildings are going to, when CEO Yves Guillemot shows up, they are all going to get up from their desk and walk out. That's their protest. Now they also have a planned strike for February 10th to the 12th where they will just not do any work. Now, these things are very interesting because if just a few people buckle and don't really buy into how the strike works, it could really mess up the whole unit. It could really mess up the whole movement, and everyone else will suffer for that.
Yep.
And so I kind of wonder how this is going to play out. That restructuring on the outside to me seemed like kind of like not that bad. I mean, they're splitting up all of Ubisoft into these creative houses, and they all seem to be based around the kind of genres that these games are in. So, and then they have their own like fiefdoms and their own leadership. And I thought that was like, hey, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe that's going to work for them. Maybe there's less, non-game developing leadership, in the way, messing up the creativity that we know these developers have. But also, internally, they don't seem very happy about this. So I wonder if it's not as it has been portrayed in the media, as if things are basically could be even more oppressive than they were before. Forte, what are your thoughts about this strike that's going on with Ubisoft and all the drama?
Ubisoft, listen, man, Ubisoft, if it wasn't for, I'll put it like, okay, I won't even say if it wasn't for certain games. I just feel like if one of their big games does not hit, if they ever have a situation where they release a game like Assassin's Creed and it doesn't hit for them, I think it's over, bro.
For the whole company?
I think, yeah, for the division of you, I think this is what I think. If they have a situation like that happens, they're gonna start selling off some of their IPs, and at that point, I feel like it is the end, because it just seems like with all of the restructuring, the Guillemot's brothers, everything that's been going on there with the stock and everything, and the dividing of the ownership of the company. It's like, we talked about this earlier, like middle of last year. It's just, they're trying to find a way to stabilize, but it's like the IPs aren't really latching on except for the really big ones. Like it, the fact that, Prince of Persia did really good. It was up for a Game of the Year conversation for the year it came out, but the sales weren't really there. Like it was like a critical hit, but it wasn't a hit across, gamers flocking to it like they did like with a game like, Expedition 13, and that's like a crazy, comparison, but that's kind of what.
You mean 33?
Yeah, 33, yeah, 13. Yeah, you're gonna die at 13. You're gonna die at 13. But but I just feel like, and that's a crazy comparison, but I just feel like at a certain point, I feel like any game has the opportunity to capture, mesmerize, and bring people together to want them to like experience this, because I think the thing about gaming now, I feel like gaming is more tribal than it's ever been. Like it's like the way that the way that it moves now is like it's in certain circles. It's like the hardcore can like a game, but the hardcore only can get you so far. It's like the hardcore used to be the biggest mouthpiece for a game, but now it's still like what the overall media really talks about. And then, some people that they trust their YouTube friends that they watch and everything like that, but it's more critically acclaimed. Like more people like wanted to play Elden Ring because of the hype around it. It's like hype is literally the number one thing, but I don't think these companies are going about the hype cycle the way they should. They think just because they make a bombastic trailer or they try to like make a enticing, story that is something that you could kind of like, feed to somebody and then hope that's it. No, that's not it. You have to like literally try. It's like, I think some of these companies don't really try anymore, or what they are trying isn't working, and they're not really doing enough Q&A to see what today's people want to play. And the thing is, me and you are still the same gamers that we were before, and we still gravitate to the games the way that we used to. Like I like watching a trailer. Like I always go back to one of my favorite trailers, Halo 2. When they showed it for the first time, they were on the Pillar of Autumn, and they had the bomb, and they were showing off the new engine and everything with the lighting, and Master Chief walking down the corridor, opening up the airlock, and then getting pulled out with the Covenant ship underneath and you floating towards it. I watched that trailer thousands of times when they showed that trailer up into the next year, because that game was coming out a year later. Watched it 1,000 times. Yeah, I still get goosebumps thinking about that trailer. I get goosebumps because Halo was one of my favorite. It was like my favorite franchise, one of my favorite franchises, because Mass Effect is my favorite now. The bubble shield. When they did the trailer, when he threw the bubble shield down for the first time, I was like, yo, those are the type of trailers that like still entice me and made me hype and made me want to like, I want to play this game. That's not the same for people anymore now. That stuff is like superficial to people now. I kind of akin it to when you would make a really cool cover art for a game and people would buy the game off the cover art. We all know that it's like people bought movies off cover art. People bought CDs off of cover art. They bought games off of cover art. It's still some people out there that's like that. First of all, that stuff is impossible to find like that. But then the whole cover art thing is gone because everything is digital now. So it's not that same connection that you would have had when it came to that. So just like they found a way to pivot away from that, and they pivoted towards, graphics, fidelity, the whole 4K thing thrown in your face, or 1080p back in the day thrown in your face. It's like they did like, oh, our worlds are huge, like, with the Fallout games and with the Far Cry games, and then Elder Scroll came out with Oblivion and Morrowind and Skyrim. And you see how big these worlds are. Then everybody started making their games bigger. And then we went to the creative games, and we had, Minecraft and Roblox and all this other stuff. And then we go to VR. Then we go to games as a service. Anthem, flop. Halo, Destiny survived. It was great. I love the game still, but it survived because it was made by a company and by a studio that people loved, and they lived off of that name as long as they could. But guess what? The next game they got coming out, I see people saying they're excited for it. I don't feel any different about that game now than I felt the first time I saw it. I don't think it's going to survive. I don't care what they do with that game because I don't think it's enough. It's the player base. The genre doesn't support what I feel like Bungie needs in a player base to sustain that game long term. They need something else. And I just feel like that's where we are with these type of games and stuff. So Ubisoft, with the Ubisoft formula, we thought it was going to get better when they, had a change in leadership, and we said that they were going to change the way that they built games. But have they really changed it? I mean, yeah, they took a lot of markers away on the screen, and they kind of opened up the side quest and made it a little bit more better, a little bit more impactful. But can we say that they've ever reached Witcher level with their storytelling, with their side quests or anything like that? Did they get to the Cyberpunk level? And we're talking about a studio that made 2 games in the last 2 generations. How many games has Ubisoft made? How many Assassin's Creeds have we had? How many? We done had three Far Cries, over that course of time, or at least 2. Assassin's Creeds, we had like 4 Mirage and, going all the way back to Odyssey and Valhalla, so. And the thing is, these are games that people like. Like, I know people like them because I watch people, talk about them. I've seen the hours that people put on those games. But for some strange reason, Ubisoft finds themselves still in the same situation, no matter what. And it's because their games aren't growing. And the reason I can say that it's not growing, think about Call of Duty. Call of Duty has been on the decline for a long time, but they had such a massive player base that, yes, you can still, like, we're not going to talk about the financials today, but Xbox's financials are down all the way across the board, revenue and everything. And that's with the biggest selling game of the year every year coming out. But their player base is so huge, it's going to be a slow decline in their overall, to the point where people just don't want to play the game. And that's with a highly successful Battlefield game coming out. So there's just these ebb and flows going on. You still got these BRs out there that people love playing. You got Arc Raiders that people like playing. And this goes back to that HighGuard situation. You got to value your time. And I just don't think that enough people value Ubisoft games anymore. Like, they don't value. They don't value that. What's up?
So the restructuring.
Yeah.
You saw how they set up everyone into different creative houses. And each creative house is basically like the Ubisoft house for a particular kind of genre. For a particular
game and genre. Yeah.
What if that was done? Okay, so they claim that each creative house has full autonomy of how they handle things and
BS,
how they develop games, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what if those games fail? Or what if you have the first couple games from one of those creative houses fails? I feel like the way they did this restructuring wasn't to get the best out of those kind of games and those developers, but to be able to pinpoint where the cuts need to happen. Where in the future they'll be like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to use one of the creative house. I'm just going to use this as an example because I don't think this creative house would be a problem, but hey, this Creative House 5 with these Just Dance games and all this, they ain't making the money that we thought they were going to make. All right, cut it.
Right.
And I feel I feel like they're going to end up basically. They have like 5 or 6 creative houses. I think in another 3 or 4 years, it may just be 3, and they just stop making certain kinds of games because in separating them out, they have now pinpointed which ones they're weak at and which ones they ain't really making money with or can't make money with, and it's easier to see that on a spreadsheet when it's 5 different creative houses. Each creative house is the arbiter of a particular genre for Ubisoft versus, they're just all showing up together on an investor call sheet, and investors are looking at it like, okay, well, it's just, I don't know which one really failed. It's just all the revenue for the company all together like this. Nah, they now have it separated out. And so that's pressure there to make sure that you're actually delivering. Because if you're not delivering, you may not know how much actual time you have to actually turn it around. I mean, freaking X Defiant wasn't the best game in the world, but also wasn't the worst, and still had well over 100,000 players at minimum playing the game, because that's where it was at on Steam when they canceled it. Now, I think, long story short, they had like 4 or 5 studios working on it. The expenses exceeded the amount of money coming in, and Ubisoft made a decision. But like, what if, because there's an actual division now, there's an actual creative house for those kind of games. What if that creative house massively fails, with a release, and they're like, all right, sayonara, peace, good luck out there. And it's just like, so you not gonna make these kind of games ever again? And it really kind of concerns me, because especially when they mention Creative House 2, this is supposed to be like per genre, but like it's got 3 different genres that they mention as the examples of the IP that are being managed within Creative House 2. They got The Division, which is a looter shooter. They got Ghost Recon, which is a third-person perspective tactical shooter. And they had Splinter Cell, which is a stealth game. All 3 of those games in that one creative house. So it's when stealth games aren't in like they used
also
to be.
Don't want to release an actual game for, because they rather put games like Splinter Cell and other games like free-to-play games instead of making an actual game that people have been asking them to make for years.
I would say this whole idea that these creative houses have the freedom to make what they want. All right, let's put that to the test, because everyone's been begging for a Splinter Cell game. If they don't make a Splinter Cell game, then all that's nonsense.
Exactly.
So I mean, we'll have to see. I'm not very optimistic. I'm going back to just give me my Division 3, please. Give me Division 3 for 2 years. 2 years of it out. After 2 years, do whatever you gotta do. At that point, I'm good. I've got what I wanted from this, and I'm not gonna really care about what happens with you guys going forward. But like, it just seems very, very worrisome about what's going on with them and how things are playing out. And despite all the changes that they've been making, that tend to look on the surface like good moves. But you ready to get into this last topic, man?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Last topic of tonight is about Dispatch. And
yeah,
I have some thoughts here. Okay, so to get everyone caught up on this, Dispatch, of course, came out on all the other platforms last year. I think it started in like September, October, and they dropped them maybe October, I think, because they had 8 episodes and they were dropping a new episode every week, which is like a TV show, which is very, very well done. A lot of people enjoyed Dispatch. Unfortunately, they set their launch for Switch 2 and Switch 1 for this month in January. And when it came out, like, they didn't say anything about these things, which they have, Ad Hoc has now apologized for like the fact that this game is censored to a major degree. They apologize for that because the notification of its censorship was not marketed well, wasn't shown well. Some people think they were hiding it, but they claim they weren't, whatever. But it came out this week, and it has some major censorship going on. Players have found this version, if you care about these things, but it has zero new. This is a very mature series.
Yes, it is.
It's very mature. The version on the Switch has zero nudity whatsoever. This black bar is all over the place. It had also even muted any kind of sexual sounds whatsoever. Nintendo, this caused a huge thing, and people want, a refund because they felt like it was they were hoodwinked, bamboozled. Nintendo came out with a statement, and that statement seemed to place the blame mostly at Ad Hoc, the developer, Ad Hoc Studios. Ad Hoc has made a statement that came out today saying they're working with Nintendo to kind of deal with some of these issues. They thought that the game would be able to go onto the Switch 1 and 2 with no censorship, considering that other games like CDPR's Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk, which has way more of this kind of stuff than Dispatch has, and those games are available in it. They thought that, hey, look, why would we have a problem? But Nintendo did, and they asked them to censor it, and apparently they didn't tell them what to censor, but Ad Hoc went where they went with the censorship, got it approved, and it seems to be too much. Now, they have said that they're going to uncensor some aspects of the game, but not give people what they really want, which is on the PC version, the PlayStation version of the game. You have in the settings the ability to censor language, censor nudity, and you can and you have the option, you can toggle it. It's up to your choice. They didn't give you that choice on the Switch 1 and 2. It's just censored. There is no choice to toggle it on and off, and that's what people want. They want the ability to be able to do that. Now, I typically I don't really consider this like that big of a topic, really.
Yeah.
But I think it is becoming a topic because people are saying, what's the difference between this game and previous games? When the Switch 2 came out, you guys marketed to the cows came home that you had Cyberpunk on here, and you had all these other really mature games on here. And you have these games that children should not be playing, that they should be for adults. So no kid should be playing, children should be playing Dispatch. What's the problem? Like, why don't you just trust that you've put in enough guardrails in place to keep children from seeing things they shouldn't be seeing? I have a theory on this, and I kind of want to pitch this to you. So the Nintendo of America, people always wonder, what does Nintendo of America do? Nintendo of America handles localization for the most part, and marketing in the United States. That's their playground for it. Now, a part of localization is understanding what is or is not considered to be acceptable by the overall general audiences. So sometimes they will censor things. This has been things like, I remember old Final Fantasy games where they removed whole characters because the character was gay, stuff like that. Like there's things like this have been going on since the video game industry has been in existence. But something that I wonder, there's two things. The version of Cyberpunk in Japan does not have nudity and doesn't have decapitations. But the version of that game in the United States, or probably everywhere else in the world, is the exact version that you get on every other platform. Now, I think something that maybe because, CDPR is a really, really big studio and they could have the bandwidth to be able to make 2 different versions of the game on the Switch, one for Japan, one for the rest of the world, because they got enough, bodies to do that. Ad Hoc is a very tiny studio. Maybe they just said, hey, look, they're going to do all the censorship. We got one version of the game and that's it. I don't know. But what I do know is that none of this was really an issue with Nintendo when Bowser was in charge. Doug Bowser. Now that Bowser has retired, and I forgot the young lady's name who took over. It's Devin something. I can't remember her last name. But I see a difference of how they handle censorship before with Bowser to how they're handling censorship now, because Dispatch isn't the only game. There's another game. I forgot the name of it, but I'll look it up real quick. But there's another game that Nintendo is also censoring on the Switch. These are 2 games back to back in 1 month. And it kind of gets me wondering if Devin is of the mind that she kind of wants to align, or maybe Japan is telling her to align what they consider to be acceptable with censorship in Japan for Nintendo to what's acceptable here on the Western side of the world. What are your thoughts on that, Forte?
No, I can definitely see that being a talking point on it. A lot of stuff has seemed it's the same, but a lot of I feel like the attitude of Nintendo has kind of changed, especially since Bowser has been gone. But I also think Nintendo has always leaned on giving you the ability to censor stuff as much as you want to. And it's kind of shocking that they didn't give them the ability to toggle this on and off, because, a lot of, I feel like at a certain point we're hiding people from games that is not, I understand the platform has a responsibility to do it themselves, but I also think that responsibility kind of ends at the parental control setting of the system. Like, that's what that's for. Like, you can literally, like, if you're doing a quality assurance test on games, like they have to go, like they said in the statement, they have to go through an independent arbiter that, basically grades and license the game to like suitable taste to what, is appropriate for the platform, then that it already has an ESRB rating, which tells you, E for everyone, E, teen, mature and stuff like that. So that's already in place. But then if you want to add an extra layer, which is what Nintendo's doing, I feel like that should just be something that is like set to the level of the toggle that you put inside the system. So like when they have the ability, like they were saying in their statement, to put the disclaimers or put what type of, any type of words or anything inside of the description. And they talked about how they put it in the wrong place. They put it under disclaimer versus putting it on a store page where people can see it up front. I don't know if that was really a mistake, because if I want people to see something, I want them to see it on a store page. That's just common sense to me. Is like, people go to the store page, they don't click on a drop down where a disclaimer is. It's like, as you're reading the description of the game, because that's what people usually go to the store page to do outside of looking at videos or pictures, they click on the description, and the first thing at the top of the description should be a disclaimer that says what this game is.
But it wasn't there.
But it wasn't there.
You're right. They should have had the disclaimer that this game was censored in the about the game.
In the about
they didn't
the game
have that
section.
there, and Ad Hoc apologized for that. But the fact of the matter is that it's still, you know, a lot of people went on ahead and like myself pre-ordered. They like already on the game on other platforms, but I want to support the developers. So I pre-ordered the game on the Switch too. I had no idea that it was censored until someone told me. They was like, "Hey, SloMo, you know they censored the game," and I was like, "What you mean?" This was like Monday, 2 days before it comes out.
Yeah. So
there was just nothing. It should be, if you're going to do that, you need to have that be far more prominent. And I do, if you are of the mind that it was, whether it was by Nintendo or it was by Ad Hoc, but whoever it was, they were attempting to hide that so that you didn't know that was going on. I can't disagree with you. Because that's the way it seems, you know? And so I just don't understand. And you know, some people in the chat are saying, "Hey, SloMo, Devin Pritchard, who is the person who took over for Doug Bowser, has only been in charge for like three weeks. I don't know if it's really only been 3 weeks or not. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
All I'm saying is that like something has to explain the complete about face of Nintendo's policy here, because when you say this for Dispatch, and I'm trying to find the name of the other game that I saw that also has been censored by Nintendo recently. When you have these 2 games that have been censored, and this is most recent, but when Switch 2 launched, you had Cyberpunk out here. If you got issue with sexual content and bloody dismemberment and whatnot, Cyberpunk's got that in spades, way more than what you get from Dispatch. So how do you justify censoring this game, but you didn't censor these other games? It doesn't make any sense. And I just look at the time frame from last summer when Cyberpunk released on Switch 2 to now. You know, here we are in the winter, and what has changed? Now, it could very well be it had nothing to do with Devin Pritchard, and this was just Nintendo saying, "Hey, look, we got way too many hentai games in the eStore. It's getting kind of nasty up in here. We are a family platform, and we can't ban these games that people already done bought, but we're not going to let no more of them up in here. And we just changed our policy." You know, maybe that's the case. I don't know. But whatever it is, I do think that for people who care about these things, and there's a large contingent of gamers that do care about these things, that's going to change how they feel about your platform. That's going to change where they decide to buy their games. If they feel like, because now the Switch 2 is powerful enough that they can start to get some of these games at launch. When Dispatch Season 2 comes out, and it's going to be on Switch 2, it's going to be on PlayStation and Xbox, it's going to be on PC at launch, all 4 of them at launch. Guess which version people ain't not going to buy? The censored one.
I wouldn't.
It's reminiscent to me of, remember back in the day with the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis? Remember Mortal Kombat? The Genesis had the version that had blood in it. The Nintendo version had sweat instead of blood. If you had the Super Nintendo version of Mortal Kombat, you was getting clowned, okay? You better hide that in the closet somewhere. Only pull it out when you don't have company over. Only version that people was rocking was the Genesis version. And I feel like, decades later, but like, Nintendo hasn't quite learned their lesson when it comes to that, because it's just like, look, I've seen the demographic numbers. Yes, a large number of your platform are children, but children shouldn't be buying this game.
Yeah,
I have kids with 2 Switch Lites under my account. They can't buy nothing. I'll buy the games. If they need it, if they want a game, I'll buy a physical version of it. They can pop it into their Switch Lite. Children should not be able to play this kind of content. So why are you censoring it for adults, for everybody? When you have a large percentage of your platform, there are people who are like between the ages of like 26 to 45 years old.
Yeah.
Doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
You spit.
Yeah, anything. I don't know where they go from here. I do wonder if the backlash that comes from this kind of changes how they think about this going forward. What do you think about that? Do you think that they may change their mind as people start to complain about this more? Or you know, if here's the second part to that. With this level of censorship, do you see them censoring the next CDPR game? Because they didn't censor CDPR at all. Are we seeing double standards here? Because Ad Hoc is a tiny indie studio and CDPR is a big old, you know, well-known AAA developer and publisher.
Well, CDP. Well, I will say, you know the old sports term. You know, the better you are, the more we're willing to deal with. So the disgruntled wide receiver that performs will still we tolerate it until you don't perform. So that's how I kind of look at this situation now. I look at it as more of Cyberpunk. CDPR is a behemoth, and it's beneficial for PlayStation. I mean, not PlayStation, for Nintendo to have them on their platform. Because not only the fact that it has a more powerful system, they want to show off that it's a more powerful system, and the fact that Cyberpunk can run on that system better than it can run on any other handheld. I don't know about the ROG Ally X anymore because that statement was before then, but it ran better than the Steam Deck version on a Switch 2. Is a is testament to how good the system really is. Now, is Dispatch a mover enough to like make waves? They could push them around and say, we want to be we don't want this on our platform. And like you said, they can go back and they spoke to Witcher 2. And it seems like CDPR is the one that is the one that's getting away with most of this. I didn't play the Grand Theft Auto trilogy to see if any of that was censored on there, because I do know that is on there in the Grand Theft Auto games, you know, especially when it comes to violence and stuff like that. I can't remember if those games had like the sexual overtones and stuff like the newer ones did, like 4 and everything. But for the most, those games are just as, I mean, they're Grand Theft Auto. You say Grand Theft Auto and Nintendo, you would automatically say, well, if they censored Dispatch, they probably censored that too. And I don't think they did that either. So I do think there is a slight double standard when it comes to that, but I also can't say if it's a double standard due to the fact that they did have leadership change, because I will say one thing. When you have a leadership change, philosophies change. Beliefs of that person that's running the company and the CEO of that company takes on, you know, the mantra of what everybody else wants it to be. So if they don't want that and they want this to be more stricken and tightened down, and they want, that's what's going to happen. I just feel like, in my opinion, censorship of games, yes, I understand if they're there, but I also feel like literally that's what you made. That's what you made parental controls for. You made it for that.
Exactly.
You can literally turn that, like, all you have to do is and this is even like, because right now on other platforms, the parental controls are kind of tied to the ESRB. So if a game falls outside of the ESRB that you want your kids to play, then the game won't even launch for them. And if you want like online services not available for an account that your kid is playing on, and you don't want voice chat and all that other stuff, you can turn that stuff off, and your kid can be in an online game and people can be talking and they will never hear them, and they will never, and even if they're talking, they can't talk to them. That is all stuff that's been available on consoles for the last 2 decades for the most part. So I feel like that is the number one thing, especially with this independent arbitration that they have going on when it comes to like checking over games a second time to see if it meets the Nintendo seal of quality. And, you know, that seal has kind of fallen off a lot when it came to the things that people kind of thought it meant and what it believes that it meant. But, you know, I just feel like at a certain point, just, you know, put it in the description. I feel like to an extent that I don't know if they accidentally put it in the wrong place. It just seems like they knew that this was coming. It's hard for me to know. It's hard for me not to believe that they knew that Nintendo was going to censor this, and they just wanted to put a disclaimer somewhere. But they said, well, at least we had a disclaimer up there, but you didn't put it for everybody to see in the places where people would actually go and look at your game. Like I said, the first thing I would look at when I'm like looking at a game is the store page under the About Game section, which usually is right above the description of the game. So as soon as you click that button that says drop down for description, or if it's not a drop down, like if you go to the Nintendo eShop, literally as soon as you click on a game, the first thing you see is the description of the game. Literally, that's where the disclaimer should have been. I don't know why it's not there. So I can't blame Nintendo for that, because they even said that they had 100% control on where that is actually placed on the store page.
Yeah, Ad Hoc accepted responsibility for that. But let me say, I'm going to quote Nintendo's statement.
Yes,
go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say I'm gonna let you, because the last thing I would say with Nintendo is Nintendo's still wrong. In fact, that all they have to do is tell the developer this stuff is welcome in the game, but either it's going to be a toggle in the game that can be turned on and off, or even better yet, you can have the toggle will automatically be enabled. Like when a game like that is played and the person has to go in and disable the toggle, and then that is based on the parental guidelines that the account is playing under. If the parental guidelines for that account is turned off, they have the ability to turn off the turn off the censorship. I don't have a problem with Nintendo saying that it's automatically censored out the gate. You have to toggle it on for it to be available, and that is only available if you have parental control either turned on or it allows access to it, because at that point, the legality doesn't fall on Nintendo. It falls under the person who has ownership of the account. That's where I will say they are at most fault for that, because they own the platform. They have the resources to make that a thing, and if that's not happening, then it's truly censorship at the highest level, because Nintendo has every right to do whatever they want and whatever they say on their platform. But if you're letting other people do it, I don't care if leadership changes or not, people are going to look at that and look at you side-eye, no matter if the developer was wrong in the placement of their disclaimer in the first place or at all. But go ahead, SloMo.
Yeah, so I wanted to quote the what Nintendo's statement was completely. So because I think when it comes down to it, I'll say the quote and then I'll explain why I feel the way I feel about it. So Nintendo says, from a Nintendo spokesperson who told this to IGN, Nintendo requires all games on its platforms to receive ratings from independent organizations and to meet our established content and platform guidelines. While we inform partners when their titles don't meet our guidelines, I think that part's very important. They inform partners when their titles don't meet our guidelines. Nintendo does not make changes to partner content. We also do not discuss specific content or the criteria used in making these determinations. Now, I think, and then there's an editorializing of that the IGN has, and I'll say that real quick. In other words, yes, Nintendo does require on Switch to meet certain requirements and will flag when it decides that something is falling foul of these. However, Nintendo does not change the game itself, meaning that the manner of how an issue might be remedied is up to the developer. So, like, Long story short, what that's really saying is that Nintendo told them your game didn't meet guidelines, but Ad Hoc is the one that did the actual censoring. Ad Hoc, Nintendo didn't tell them, hey, take away the sex sounds. Any sex sounds in the game, cut that out. You already got black bars up to cover up certain things. And I might need to skip ahead because I don't want... there's some nudity that was about to happen. I didn't want that to show up. And that's censorship on YouTube, but I understand it, right? Essentially, they're saying that Nintendo didn't say you do this kind of censorship. Ad Hoc did the censorship themselves. And they have acknowledged that and said they're going to kind of like work with Nintendo and see what they are going to allow them to uncensor, and that still meets their guidelines. This still falls all under Nintendo, in my opinion. Here's why. One, this is a game that it uncensored is not worse than other games that you already have on your platform. There are far worse than that. So when they said, while we inform partners when their titles don't meet our guidelines, that's where Nintendo messed up. So why did you even censor this game in the first place? When this game isn't doing anything any worse than plenty of games you already have on the platform. The other thing is that you say that, and then you also say, we do not discuss specific content or the criteria for them to use in making these determinations. So like, you're also not giving any guidance to them on what they should censor. So you're saying it didn't meet our guidelines, but we ain't going to tell you how or what you need to censor in order to make sure that it skates through. This is a Nintendo issue that became an Ad Hoc issue, and Ad Hoc did not handle it well. But the root issue of it is Nintendo. They are the root problem here. When you're the only platform that's treating mature content like this, every other platform has their way of handling this. On PlayStation, on Xbox, they got plenty of kids. They ain't got as many kids as you got, but they got plenty of kids in their platform too. Maybe Nintendo needs to get better at having tools to set these things up properly. Because like on Xbox, like my daughter has an Xbox Series S. She is 10 years old. She just turned 10. Every time she goes up in age, there are more games that open up that she's eligible to play without me having to come in and say, okay, I give her consent to play this game. There's an entire app around that in particular where I can set guidelines and manipulate it just for her. Where I feel like she's mature enough that she can handle this kind of content. So I'll let her play this, some of the games that they say she can't play yet. She can't even on her profile play a game like Dispatch. It wouldn't even load. Like she could install it and then try to play it, and they'll say you can't play this game. That's real guidelines and a real way to handle these things instead of just censoring the entire game. PlayStation has similar controls. This is all on Nintendo. Do the work to actually handle this kind of stuff for adults, for children, for the elderly, for whoever the heck else is playing on your platform. But blanket like, hey, this is the way it is, that's it, but I'm not going to give you any guidance on what you need to do to fix it. But apparently there's a different set of rules for Cyberpunk, for CDPR, for more established AAA developers. It's just like, nah, man, that's not good enough. And I think the other game that I was mentioning before, I think it's 100-Line Defense.
100-Line Defense, yeah.
I think that's, Last Defense Academy. I think that's the other one that got censored. You gotta understand that once you jumped into this arena and you started marketing your machine for more mature games that people don't even think about your platform to play on, you can't then go after the fact and go, ooh, oh no, decapitations? Do you have to decapitate them? Oh no, cut that out. Hey, look, if your country is like that and everyone in your country is like, we don't want to see decapitations, okay, cool. But the rest of the world is like thumbs up on decapitations. Yeah, if I assassinate a dude in Cyberpunk, I want to cut his head off and kick it down the street.
Right.
That's how I feel about it. If I can do that on Steam, I should be able to do that on the Switch too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I told you we would have some topics that would get some discussions going.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I already knew that when I saw the list.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Anything else you want to say on this before we
Nah,
done?
man. Good show, as always.
Yep. All right. We're gonna get up out of here. Forte, let everyone know where they can find you over the next week and what you got going on until next week.
Gaming Forte, YouTube, Twitter, Xbox Live, and PlayStation. DPS next week gonna be a great one. Outside of that, I don't know yet. I gotta figure it out. I'm going to Micro Center on Sunday. I might be in the market for a new CPU. Don't know yet because might be.
These prices right now, man. I hope
know.
you find go for a bundle. Try to go for a bundle.
Oh no, I'm going for a bundle.
Everything that you, yeah.
Well, the only reason I want to do it, I'm thinking about doing it, is because my daughter has been, I kind of want my PC back. So if I do it, I kind of want to get a new CPU and just buy a GPU, like a smaller GPU for her, so I could just build another one and just let her keep the build I have now, just minus the graphics card. Okay. But it just really depends on what these prices are looking like, because
but now you gotta buy her a graphics card, and graphics cards are ridiculous right now.
I know, and that's why I'm trying. I have to go there and see, because they don't really mark or put a lot of their inventory, because sometimes I'll go in there and they'll have like open box ones or clearance ones that's not on the website. So I'm gonna go in there and see if I can catch something. I'm willing to spend like $1,200 or something on it, just to on everything. Well, between my CPU and my motherboard and buying her a GPU, because and I also got to buy RAM, because I got to buy RAM. So, and RAM is like stupidly expensive now. So I don't know. This might just be a failed trip, but we will find out when I do it. But yeah, I haven't been to Micro Center in like over a year and a half, because we all know you go to Micro Center, you spend money, and it's like something you don't want to do unless you have to. So that's kind of what I plan on doing. Outside of that, we will be having the stream either Tuesday or Wednesday next week for most likely it's going to be Wednesday for Death Stranding 1. So the stream for that's going to most likely be on Wednesday. But I might try to do it on Tuesday, depending if my daughter got to work, and she hasn't given me her schedule yet. But be on the lookout for that, because it's definitely happening next week. But outside of that, man, just get back to play some games and back to work and everything, and having fun.
Finally.
But shut up, SloMo. We appreciate you guys, and have a great weekend.
Yeah, and for myself, I don't know what I got going on. I'm been maybe I'll play I'll stream a game or something, or maybe I'll make a video. I've been thinking about making a video recently. So I'm not promising anything, but I'll definitely be playing these games at least offline or not on stream in the meantime, and we definitely will see you guys next Thursday. Sorry about having to go on Friday today instead of yesterday. That this was due to work. I had to be up super early this morning. I had to be up for work at 5 a.m, so I didn't want to end the podcast at like close to midnight, knowing I was going to barely have any sleep to handle what I gotta do for work the next day. So that's on me. I apologize for, actually I don't apologize. Work, the priorities. I'm an adult.
Priorities.
I was adulting. So it is what it is. But we'll try to make sure we do Thursdays as usual. And so next Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is the plan. So I hope you guys have a great weekend and have a great week until then. And peace out, guys.
Peace.